He was 7 when he began therapy finally. My name is Caitlin Buck, and I am the mother to Parker Wagner. At about 15 months of age, there was something that just wasn't right. He would bang his head on the floor and cry, and we just didn't know how to help him. We didn't know what to do. We contacted Birth to 3, and the process was they came into our home, they did an evaluation, they played with Parker a little bit, tried to have him identify certain objects. They said between the verbal spoken words he knew and the sign language that he knew too many words to qualify for services and intervention. From there wasn't really much we could do other than try and help him the best we could. And he, on New Year's Eve, that following year, he had 3 seizures that took us to Children's Hospital, and he began to see neurology. Neurology had suggested that he may have autism and that they would want us to have him evaluated. They said a lot of times that seizures, the type of seizures he was having, could actually be set off by auditory stimulation, and that was common characteristic with children with autism and these seizures. So they gave us a referral. From there, we started the process. We went through a couple different agencies to get an evaluation. However, they, for one reason or another, weren't able to accept him and take him in and complete therapy with him. We finally did find a facility that was able to help us. They did the evaluation on Parker when he was finally 5 years old, and that's when we had the diagnosis and we could begin the next steps into seeking the treatment and help that he needed. From 15 months old, we knew something wasn't quite right, and once we were able to get the diagnosis, that was like the light at the end of the tunnel, and we were able to then get him help and get him services, and so that he can excel and be the best he can be and do what he wants to do. So
my name is Parker, and I'm 8 years old.
Oh, they want to see your bow and arrow.
I just made it just with rubber bands and a stick. I made this in the winter.
I would say Parker's biggest struggle is his frustration and his anger and his ability to communicate what he really has in his mind. He's very smart. A lot of times, the amount of knowledge he has in his mind, he can't articulate in his words because he's only 8. So I think that becomes a huge frustration for him, and that's when we start to see the behaviors and the meltdowns. What about your arrows and your arrows?
I made arrows with shish kebab sticks.
And even a little case to carry them. You made this for therapy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To be creative, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Since we have started therapy, he's really excelled in his social skills. He's making progress, learning how to be part of a team and learning how to play with others appropriately, learning how to accept if his friend says, oh, no, I don't want to do this right now. Let's go do this instead. Those are things that a year and a half ago, before therapy started, those are things that wouldn't work for Parker. Parker had in his mind what he wanted to do with his friend. And if that's not what his friend wanted to do, that wasn't going to work.
What's your favorite thing to do in therapy?
I don't know. Play with friends.
Despite the fact he has autism, he doesn't let that stand in his way. He still wants to be a part of this club or be in Boy Scouts or play football and do all these things all the other kids do. And he doesn't let that label stand in his way of anything.
Describe some of the stuff that they do together.
Yeah, they love to play Nerf gun wars.
We pick Nerf guns, and then we go outside, and then we like get a base, and then we shoot at each other.
They ride their bikes around in the summertime. They don't stay out of the pool. They're always in the water. Let's see, what else do they do? Typical boy things. Run through the woods on the trails. Of course, all these kids and their technology. They get together and they play their games together. So, yeah, they have a good time.
It's just like fun to play, and so I can at least do stuff fun like in it.
I think that this next generation that is coming, I think they're going to start to change the world because they're going to start to turn things around. I've noticed that they're very protective and supportive of Parker, and I see how they come together and they play together, and I see how they support one another, and I see how at school the kids all still play together, and if they're all working on something and the kids are raising their hands in class and Parker's had his hand up for a while and the teacher's not there yet and she goes to another kid, that child will stop the teacher and say, oh, wait, I think Parker might need your help first, because they notice that Parker is getting antsy and frustrated and needs some help. And I think that really shows a lot, and that speaks volume to where we're going. You know, I know my generation, we're teaching our children how to be more accepting and understanding of differences in all aspects, whether that's the color of your skin, if you are disabled or not, if you are in a wheelchair, if you, whatever nationality you are, whatever language you speak. We're teaching our children how to embrace those differences, and that it's okay to be different. We want to be different. And I see that, and I see these kids picking up on it just in the way that they treat my son with autism. You know, he has that label, but these kids don't care, and they still are there to support him and be his friend and look after him. And I think that's a really refreshing feeling to know that things maybe are just going to start to turn around, and everyone's going to be included. You know, back when I was in school, the special needs kids were in their own classroom. They weren't integrated with everybody else. Kids weren't hanging out with them and like they are today, and that's really cool. I mean, Parker's football team, even when he has trouble at football, they all understand that he is a little bit different, processes things different, but they're very supportive of him. Pat him on the back, pick him up, come on, let's do the next play. And it's awesome to know that, you know.
2 couch cushions. I put them together, and then I had to stick the blanket in under my mattress, and then I just bring it over like this, and then I had the chair here, so if it fell this way, the chair would have it like that. And then for this blanket, I didn't want the light to come in from last night, so I had put it like this. I go in it from this way. Sometimes I go out like from here, or I just go around, or I go under.
I'm lucky in the area that I live and the people that I know were involved in some different groups. And from a parent standpoint and a child standpoint, those groups are great. However, I feel that there's a lot more need for awareness. And I don't think that people quite understand everything that encompasses this diagnosis. And every child with autism is so different. That's why its logo is a little puzzle piece, because it is. They're all different. There's nothing that's alike. I think that awareness is needed. More funding would be great. When you're getting therapy for your child, in-home therapy, a parent has to be home those hours that this therapy is happening. So if your child is receiving 36 hours a week of therapy, that's a full-time job, keeping one parent home. And there aren't always the funds and the programming that there needs to be. It took from 15 months to 5 years old for me to get a diagnosis for my child, to get him help. It took another from 5 years old to 7 years old, waiting on a list to be qualified to receive in-home therapy. That's 7 years of time right there. By the time my son received therapy, he was 7 years old. And there could have been a lot of interventions done before then. And I think that they're so overloaded with children that need help, and there's not enough help to be given. And then you see how the government is making cuts to different fundings and programs that help our children. And that's really frustrating. And, I feel like the more we bring awareness and spread the word and show others what we're dealing with and what it's like, I feel like that will start to be the time that it opens the eyes to maybe funds that need to be put towards treating people with autism, or services or programs or anything. It's expensive. Therapy's expensive. These adaptive devices, they're expensive. And then you take one parent at least and put them at the house, not even working full time. I mean, it's a hard reality. It's a hard world, and it'd be nice if they had more programs for families that really needed to get their children help to be able to become successful and productive members of society, just like everyone else. So,
how do you project the future years to come?
That's a good question. I really don't know how to project what will happen in the future with Parker. I don't know what kind of... he's a very smart kid. He just said he wants to be a scientist when he grows up. And I don't put anything past him. If he says he wants to do something, I think he can do it because he's a smart boy and he's pretty determined. You want to be a geologist and study rocks? That kind of scientist? Or do you want... what kind of scientist do you want to be? Like an inventor scientist?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking for obsidian because I don't know where that is right now.
And again, he doesn't let that label stand in his way. However, if things don't go that way down the road, you know, and that means he lives with me forever, then he lives with me forever, you know. We try and increase independence, but safety and hazards, those are huge things for Parker too. Understanding that the whole pan is hot, not just the food you're cooking inside, so you cannot touch that. Those kind of safety concerns are big for him. So although he would like to cook, I have to limit that for him just due to the safety issues. So we'll see how his understanding of these skills and daily living skills and living independently progress for him through his life. However, I'll always be here for him, and if I have to build some type of apartment in my home for him to have his independence in his own area, then that's what I would do for him. So I'm not sure where the future will take us. If I talk about football and like how proud I am, like I'm a proud mama. Upset. I don't know how this editing stuff works or whatnot. Okay,